in December, we're having the State House of Assembly election. That's how early these polls will begin for 2027. But then every other day we see developments that point us in that direction, especially with all of the alignments and realignments that politicians are doing at this point in time. More so, you see that happening by far, maybe within the camp of the opposition. The ADC now appears to be the formidable leading opposition party in Nigeria, a spot that the PDP had held for a while, even though there have been questions as to whether or not the People's Democratic Party had played that role proactively and effectively enough. Today, the ADC appears to be, for want of better words, the poster boy for the opposition. We saw just on Sunday what had happened in Kano, the visit of Peter Obi, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, and indeed former governor of Bayelsa State, Seriake Dixon, in Kano, meeting with the Konkasia movement leader, talking about Rabiu Kwankwaso and all of that. So when you look at all of this, you know that times are changing real fast in terms of 2027 politicking.
Everybody, like I always say, may the best man win when it comes to election in 2027, and everyone is going all out. Everyone is trying their best to see how far they can go, how much they can, that impact in which they can make in order to get that win. So everyone is trying. Everyone's hands is on deck when it comes to politicians, political parties, bringing an alliance together to form a formidable one in order to win the 2027 general election that is upcoming. But at the same time, politicians, I have my reservations, but at the same time, may the best man win. Whatever strategy you have, bring it on the table, whatever works for you, but as long as you have the people and Nigeria at heart in order to attain this goal of greatness, of electoral win. We're all waiting to see how far it would play out. But it's all about coming together, and that alliance that needs to be formed in order to get that presidential ticket and that win. Well,
that's what will happen.
Let's make it happen.
Right, but then there are concerns. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Josh Amopiton, has also expressed these sort of very deep concerns. Some people will say he has lamented that voter apathy is going to be a big problem in 2027. I'm not sure the basis on which he's saying that, but I know for a fact, we were here on election day for the area council elections in the FCT. We saw what happened. We saw how people responded to that electoral activity.
We spoke about it on Global Morning.
Right, and it wasn't very impressive, the turnout, the results. The numbers are clear. And then going into 2027, you are asking yourself, why is it that INEC has, across all the state and local government offices, so many stacks of PVCs which people have not collected? We may say some of those people have died. We may say some of them have left the country. Where about those who are still residents here, who are still alive, who are not hospitalized, they are not bedridden, but they are not going to pick up their PVCs either? And for a good number of those who have, for them, the PVC has no more value than to use or be used for the purpose of identification when they do transactions, especially with their banks and things like that. So maybe those are the data points, if you like, that the INEC chair is looking at, and on the basis of that, he says, look, if we do not do something early enough and drastic as well, we're going to see a very, very abysmal turnout in 2027.
When we interviewed the barrister,
Idris Waziri.
Yes, Idris Waziri, when we interviewed him, and I asked this question, I said, during the AMAC election that has to do with councillors in Abuja here, why was there low turnout? Do you foresee this in 2027? And he says, Jumai, Nigerians are really tired. You have to convince us to that level why we should come out again. The last time there was a major turnout was in 2015 during Goodluck Jonathan and President Muhammadu Buhari. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. And then that was when, because Nigerians knew that the economy took a big toll on them. We're tired. We knew that, okay, we wanted a change. We wanted someone who was radical. And we said to ourselves, President Muhammad Buhari, of course, being a retired general, will know what to do when it comes to taking, because they felt Goodluck Jonathan is too he's too soft. So he couldn't.
Too laid back.
Too laid back. So he couldn't take us to where we are supposed to be. Too many things. People were dying. A lot of things was happening. Though we had, the economy was, but of course people said there was a lot of corruption.
Can you ask him? All right, so thank you for staying with us, everyone. We're wrapping up the program this morning on the notes of the conversations that we're having now about 2027. Juma was just making a lot of points in that regard a while ago. Just to add to what you said now, right? We have challenges in this country.
Yes, we do.
Politicians don't seem to be speaking to those issues. Campaign is not just about the size of rallies that you're holding or the number of persons you have in the crowd, whether it's what they call purchase crowd or not, but it's about what are the issues, the typical, I don't want to say average, that's a mediocre term. What is the challenge, or what are the challenges the everyday Nigerian is dealing with right now, all right? Which political party, which politician, regardless of what the ambition level is speaking to that issue?
Exactly.
Pipeline water, for example. I mean, as a relatively young as I may be, I grew up to know public water system, right? There were taps or pumps at different points. There were public facilities all over the place. They were running. And no politician had to put their name or brand their party on it. They were running. The people owned it, right? They were strategically positioned. I met street lights that were done by local governments, not state governments, local governments, right? Then I'm not sure the country had so much money. I'm not sure technology, obviously technology had not evolved to this point. So how is it that a couple of decades down the line today, we have more money as we are told, right? And we are not able to do those things anymore. Even in the federal capital territory, Abuja, sometimes, most times you drive at night, the street lights are not working on some major roads.
Of course.
We're wondering, did the government forget, or is it possible that the person who was saddled with this responsibility is not alive to it? What exactly is going on? Meanwhile, you'll be shocked how much monies are going into those projects, yet those street lights are not working. Who is being held accountable? We need to have that conversation.
We need to.
What do we budget for health every year? What is eventually released? And how does that rub off one way or another on the healthcare system? How are we prioritizing education in our country? We need to look at those issues. What are the laws being promulgated, or if you like, laws that are bills that are being passed into law to protect women, to protect children, or the vulnerable groups, as the United Nations will call them? We need to look at those issues. Where was corruption 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I mean, in terms of the index, where is it today? We need to look at those issues. Which politician is having that conversation? Even from the end of the opposition, what you find is to just say, this APC government is not working. This APC government, what exactly is the ADC or any other opposition political party proposing as against what the APC is offering today? And those are the issues we should be looking at.
Those are the major issues we should be looking at. You know, we Nigerians, we don't ask for too much.
Right.
Just give us the basics and we're good. Good roads, low cost in transportation, in fact, no inflation, good healthcare system, educational system is working.
Right.
We will not ask for, we don't ask for too much. That is how our lives can go on smooth sail. But unfortunately, this is where we are. You mentioned street lights. Do you know when you're driving from central area down to Nav Valley, when you go to Abacha Barracks, the street lights are good. But once you hit after the Nav Valley, it's pitch black downwards till you get to Karo. The bridge itself is pitch black.
So whatever happens within that belt is off the radar.
It's off the radar, and anything can happen there. No one. People have been robbed. Officers' wives have been robbed on that area. It's just unfortunate that this is what it is. Street lights, and of course we have budgets for these things, but we do not see them. So a lot needs to be done. And like you said, it's not about tearing down one party or pulling that we're here to distort this particular administration. No, what are you bringing? What is different that this party has not done that will benefit the common man, that will benefit us as a nation? What will you bring to us that we'll see differently? It's just that, well, I think, like I said, politicians, political parties need to go back to the drawing board, re-strategize to see what they can actually bring for the betterment of Nigeria and, of course, Nigerians.
Right, so let's make this sort of on Nigeria and Nigerians. That's the point Juma is making, and apparently she's also not asking for too much. Well, this is all on Good Morning today. Just a quick reminder that the views of our guests are their opinions, and as always, we owe our viewers a debt of gratitude for this time spent with us today. I am Uyi Agumofwe.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. And from Uyi and I, we say bye-bye.